Senator Roberts.
Thank you, Madam Acting Deputy President. As a servant to the people of Queensland and Australia, I speak in support of this bill. When we see a toddler, the joy in that child's eyes, the free spirit, the sparkling eyes, the bounce in the step, the running, the curiosity, the fun-loving nature, isn't it a marvel? Isn't it a marvel? Tom Peters, the renowned management consultant and leadership expert, I heard him personally state once in Brisbane, the 4-year-old is the pinnacle of human society. And I happen to agree with him. Something happens after that in our society that dulls that bounce, dulls the eye and dulls the spirit. But a toddler, a 4-year-old, what a joy to see. And how can anyone possibly abuse such a beautiful thing? The child creates the adult. The child creates Australia's future. And that's why One Nation is the advocate for the child, because this is the future of the country. So this bill goes to the core of what One Nation is about: children, families, our nation, today and the future. I want to take some words from Maria Montessori. And for those who don't know of her, she was an amazing Italian doctor. She actually entered engineering back in the 1880s, I'm guessing, somewhere around there. She became Italy's first female engineering student. Now imagine that in a patriarchal society like Italy back then. She fought and became a student. She didn't like it, so she changed, and she became Italy's first female medical student, and she loved it. And then she spent her life working with children around the world. And she said, after many, many decades of observation, meticulous observation, I would argue, I'm not an expert in this, but I would argue, having talked to many people who are experts in this, that she is by far the most comprehensive, she has delivered by far the most comprehensive set of observations of the child and the development of humans. Her writing has been prolific, and it has been not only objective in her observations, but objective in her measurements and objective in her documentation. She said, the critical years for the formation of both character and intellect are between birth and the age of 6. I'll say it again. The critical years for the formation of both character and intellect are the years from birth to 6. All children suffer, who are abused suffer. Abuse of any sort, and especially sexual abuse, changes the brain's architecture, changes that beautiful person's development in the future, changes the ability to learn, compromises the ability to learn, affects development. After all, we all learn best when we're calm and at ease, not when we're feeling intimidation, fear or threat. So it's very, very important to understand that we need to give the future of Australia, the future of the planet, a very strong start without abuse. And sexual abuse in particular hurts the human spirit. And just think about it. We don't allow 16-year-olds to drive, and we know that 16-year-old brains are not fully developed. And abuse of a 16-year-old, abuse of any age, leads to a potentially future dysfunctional adult, because, as I said earlier, it is the child that creates the adult. Pedophilia, exploitation and abuse are sickening and horrific, and they lead to perpetuating cycles of abuse. We all know that. So I commend the government for this. However, I understand the bill it refers to Commonwealth officers and not every person. Now, I may be wrong in that, but if I'm correct, then that would indicate this is just a good start. But a couple of prominent provisions that we commend. It is now an offence to fail to protect a child at risk of a sexual abuse offence. Wonderful. It is now an offence to fail to report child sexual abuse. Wonderful. It reduces the standard for the offence of persistent sexual abuse of a child outside Australia from 3 offences to 2. 2 offences, that person is deemed persistent. And we think that is wonderful, because we must stamp out child abuse of any kind, especially sexual abuse. In line with the recommendation of the Royal Commission, this bill will introduce 2 new offences into the Criminal Code to criminalise public officers who exercise care, supervision or authority over children and who fail to report child sexual abuse or negligently fail to reduce or remove the risk of child sexual abuse to those children. And with the internet being so more prolific and easily available, we need to understand the impact on those who groom children through the internet. This bill will also strengthen the existing forced marriage offences to ensure they explicitly capture all marriages involving children 16 or under. Child marriage is a pernicious practice, and it doesn't matter what the religion is, the child marriage or the ideology, the child marriage is a pernicious practice that seriously harms the development and well-being of victims. Indeed, it hurts our whole society, and with disproportionate impacts on girls and young women. Children trapped in early marriages are often subject to physical and mental abuse, rape and forced pregnancy. And this bill sends a clear message that this morally reprehensible practice will not be tolerated. People who marry, that is, people who officiate at marriages or who allow marriages, so that's the officiator and the parents, will now be guilty of an offence. No exception. As I said, we stand up for the child, whether that be through our immigration policies, which are careful about who we allow into this country, or they are the way we conduct ourselves in our society. One nation is always going to protect the child. Those in this chamber who heard Senator Hanson talking yesterday about her experiences under the family law system will understand why the child is so important to One Nation. And One Nation is an advocate to the child and will continue to support the protection and safety of children, all aspects of the safety and protection of children. And as a former mine manager and mining executive, safety was always very important to me, and so I came up with the definition of safety, and this is it. Safety, and this is what I guided my management experience on. Safety is the state in which people are conscious of, successfully manage and feel accountable for the potential of injury or risk. We must be always conscious for the potential for injury or risk of our children. And that's why we are an advocate for the child. We will be supporting this. We will also be supporting the Law Council's submission on restoring presumption of innocence. So we will be supporting the amendment when it's put forward by the Greens that they've taken from the Law Council submission on the presumption of innocence. That is very important for the protection of our society. So finally, Madam Acting Deputy President, One Nation is pleased to support this bill, commends the government as a good start, and we will always be an advocate for the child. Thank you.